What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Today we're gonna do a little bit of like a almost throwbacky episode in the format that I used to make once upon a time on this channel, where I'm just gonna pack in a whole bunch of tips related to marketing your practice. That's it. Last week I made an episode all about how to have a successful practice in 2026, and in the extended cut of the episode, I ended up sharing a bit about like my exact plan of what I would do if I were marketing my own practice. And so I thought I would share that here with you today and break down a little bit each of the steps. Let's dive right into this. I'm just doing one version of the episode today, so you're just gonna hear the breakdown of what I would do to market my practice if I were starting my practice today in 2026. The first tip I covered extensively in last week's episode, so I'm just going to name it and breeze right on by it, and that is to niche down. I do think we're in an era in 2026 where if we want to have success in private practice, for the vast majority of us, it's going to make sense to have something very specific that we focus on. Again, I broke that down pretty extensively in last week's episode, so I will just leave off there and link to last week's episode below in case you want to learn more about that. But assuming you've done that step already, here's what I would do next. I would start first by creating a website. Once I know my niche, I would start building the website, getting that SEO juice starting to flow. When you create a website or make changes on your website, it can take upwards of like 1 to 3 months even to really see that kind of SEO traction showing up, see if your website is truly showing up in search results and AI recommendations. So I think it makes sense to start here sooner rather than later, because then you can start to build up your SEO juice, and then it's just ready for you later when it's time to start filling your practice. Here are the 3 things I would do on my website first and foremost, and then the rest you can kind of work on as you go. The first piece, make sure your niche, your specialty, is very clear in the top above the fold part of your homepage. The above the fold section of your homepage is just what you can visibly see on your homepage before you start scrolling down. When somebody gets to your homepage, can they immediately tell what your practice is about and your specific area of specialty? The second piece I would focus on my website is the specialties pages. This is where you have the biggest bang for your buck as far as SEO power goes. Each specialty gets its own page. We don't want to combine all of our specialties into a single page with a list of specialties. Then we lose the SEO power of that page. So make a separate services page for each of your specialties or each of your services offered. That could look a little bit different depending on what your specialties are, and spend quite a bit of time on each of those pages. We want each of those pages to really establish trust with potential clients who might be needing support in that area of specialty that you're offering. You have to validate their experience, the struggles that they're going through dealing with this issue that they're needing support with. And you also need to name something about this sort of transformation that you offer. Establish some sense of hope and what you do in the therapy to help your clients move towards that change. All of that is really helpful once somebody's on your site, of course, to understand what you do there and establish trust with them. But those services pages are usually the most likely to show up in a Google search result when somebody's searching for a therapist who specializes in that specialty. So this has a lot of SEO power. And if I did nothing else, the very last thing I'd make sure I have very clear on my website is what my call to action is, which is just fancy marketing jargon for saying like, what does a potential client do next if they'd like to learn more about your services or book an appointment with you? So if we just have one call to action and keep it the same everywhere on your website, email me and ask for a free 15-minute phone consultation, for example, then it makes it much more likely that people know what to do and will follow through if it makes sense to do that. At that point, even if that's pretty much all that's on my website, I would start to move on to the next steps. And yes, I can round out my website as I go, but you have the key critical website components built into your page there. And rather than waiting out the entire, 3 months before I see if any of these changes are effective from an SEO point of view, I think I would also invite the feedback of a few trusted colleagues and or loved ones to kind of ask these questions. Like, can you tell what my website is about, like right out the gate just by going to my homepage? And can you see what my specialties are? Do you have any questions that aren't answered about what my practice is about? Anything that they flag, just go ahead and fine tune those things so that your messaging is really clear. So outside of your website, it's really helpful to build out your online presence by claiming your relevant profiles. I would definitely claim my Google business profile. It is free and it is very powerful. I cannot emphasize this enough. It's relatively straightforward to do, and just fill in as many of the details, as many of the blanks as you possibly can. If you can only fill in some right now, then just come back later and fill in the rest. Now, they do have a somewhat involved verification process. I think sometimes they need you to even send in a video of your actual office space. So I would follow through on it. I know it seems like a lot, but again, it's free and it will pull so much weight from an SEO point of view as well as an AIO point of view. For example, I noticed that when my therapy practice shows up in AI recommendations, the pictures that it's pulling and information like quotes that it's pulling about me are all directly from my Google business profile rather than from my website or anywhere else really. So it's clearly a variable that matters in this situation. And from there, I'd think about what other profiles would make sense to claim. Some of these are generic, like you can claim your Yelp profile, you can claim your LinkedIn page, you could potentially have a profile on a larger scale online directory like Psychology Today. Those pieces will simply just validate your real business and it's normal business-like behavior to have profiles on these pages. It just authenticates the validity of your business in the eyes of the internet. And just make sure that your specialties are consistent across all your different profiles and your name, address, and phone number are also exactly the same on all of these profiles. And that just is, it's like a little identifier for the internet to go, name, address, and phone number, it's the same. You must be the same business that's over here on this website, that's over here on Google Business Profile, etc. And there might also be other spaces where it makes sense for you to have an online listing based on your specific niche, your specific area of specialty. So sometimes there's very niched online therapist directories, for example. I don't know if it's still up, but at least at some point I was on the HSP therapist directory. You can kind of do some research to see if there's any spaces where it could make sense for you to get listed, claim your profile, that sort of thing. And something interesting about the online directories is sometimes they can help your SEO even if you aren't getting clients directly from the directory. Maybe you might not have somebody contact you directly through Psychology Today, but because you have that Psychology Today listing, then the Google algorithm, different AI platforms see that you have that listing and go, oh, she seems legit. She even has a Psychology Today profile, and you might get recommended in these other spaces. So it's kind of more tricky and nuanced than just, I'm not getting any referrals from my online directory. So you can always add it on, try it for a bit, test it out, see if it makes a difference. You can even turn it off for a while, see if that makes a difference, and see if any of those directories are helpful to you. And from there, I do think networking is very powerful. But again, back to that first tip, when you have a very specific niche. If you're coming into marketing your practice in 2026 and you are operating as mostly a generalist therapist, I do think it's going to be a lot more work to market your practice. I don't want to say it's not possible, but I do expect that it would be a lot more work, except for maybe some very specific exceptions. And then when it comes to networking, be very specific about who you reach out to. Let's say you're a therapist who specializes in working with eating disorders, for example, then it might make sense for you to network with dietitians. You have to kind of boots on the ground, think about your specific specialty, maybe brainstorm with other colleagues or friends, loved ones, and from there network with folks who honestly you'd probably want to see anyway because you'd probably get along well, you have all these overlaps, and leverage that in your favor. And while we're on the topic of networking, I would say that if you are offering your services statewide, or maybe you're licensed in multiple states, then you can expand your marketing networks, which is pretty awesome because the more niche that you get, it's more spread out you have to go to find people who share overlaps with your niche. Again, whether it's fellow therapists or professionals that are just sort of adjacent and appropriate to reach out to. And of course, if you're offering exclusively in-person services, you might find yourself networking a little bit more with local folks. So at this point, this is kind of like a nice little baseline, a nice foundation to build my marketing off of. Like this might be enough to keep your practice full. Again, keeping in mind that SEO takes a good 1 to 3 months to really start kicking in. If you still have empty slots on your calendar, then I would use that time to do very focused content. Emphasis on focused and less on churning out content. And content could mean any number of things. I think for me, I'd probably start with some very tailored blog posts, maybe spending quite a bit of time on just 2 or 3 really high quality blog posts that answer a very specific question related to my niche. Having those answers and high quality answers to those questions that are connected to your niche will boost your site's SEO and the algorithm. You're more likely to get recommended for those things. And those blog posts may also get directly found by folks who then potentially could become potential clients. And for me, this would kind of be my main gig. I mean, this is honestly more than I'm doing now. It is possible to stay full on like a relatively minimal marketing strategy. If you can get more specific in your niche, then you'll have less work spent on the marketing. If you're wanting some help with your website, I have a training helping you develop your website copy in a few focused hours. So I'll link to that below if you're interested. And I also did a free workshop recently with Heard all about SEO and AIO, tailored for right now in 2026. So I'll link to that below if you'd like to watch that for help with that as well. Now, as I said at the beginning, this is just how I imagine I would market my practice. This would be my marketing approach if I were starting from scratch today. But this might not fit for you for any array of reasons. So I'm just sharing to give you one roadmap, one model for kind of creating a holistic marketing approach, a foundation to it that hopefully doesn't feel overly overwhelming. Like you don't have to be spending hours and hours on this week after week. And yeah, if you do have a lot of empty slots in your calendar, then using that time to keep building some of these items would be where I would focus my energy. Well, I hope you found this episode helpful. This feels nostalgic to me because it's a little bit similar to how I used to format my videos in the olden days. And I hope this helps you feel like it's possible to market your practice, because it really is, even in 2026. And before we close, I'd like to thank TherapyNotes.com for sponsoring this video. TherapyNotes helps with all of your practice management needs, from scheduling to notes to billing. They have a HIPAA-secure telehealth platform included for free for all users, and a whole suite of AI features to streamline your documentation process. If you'd like to check out TherapyNotes, you can get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment just by clicking the link in the description of this video. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful to you. Feel free to chime in the comments below what sorts of marketing practices have been helpful for you in filling your practice in 2026, so that we can kind of compare notes and others can glean from your experience as well. And until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well.